90% loan to value on that. And I can pay you around 4% on a money market right now. So if you think there's a chance that maybe we could work together, come find me. I'd love to talk to you. Thanks.
Give him a big round of applause, because I called him Brad, and I know he's been Brady for his whole life, and I've known Brady now for about a year, so don't hate me, Brady. I'm gonna get that. I know I'm gonna get that email from you later, right? Just want to shout out some information about upcoming about our sponsors first. So while we're on the sponsor talk, Omaha Heal Center, which I'm gonna invite up next. It's one of our newest sponsors. He's providing a 20% discount to our sponsors. He's going to take about 60 seconds, tell you a little bit about his company. And while he's on his way up, we also have Fiber New, which they upgraded to a silver package. They were a resource sponsor. Definitely want to shout that out. Cool thing about Fiber New is if you have hail damage, which I had hail damage on one of my properties, instead of replacing the siding for the third time in 4 years, I called Fiber New. They actually went through and patched all the holes up. And luckily, I work with Terry on some trade, and we did some bartering on that and got that done for a really affordable rate. But got that all patched up, and it looks like new, and I didn't have to replace all the siding, which was awesome. And then CMB Custody, they do IRA work. If you want to use your IRA to get investing, they do that free setup for you for being a sponsor or a member. And then GB Cleaning Services with Jard. I think you're here too. Yep, there you are. GB renewed for another year, so thank you to Jard. If you need cleaning of your Airbnbs, home, after construction, office buildings, he can take care of you. If you don't know his story, it's really fun. So ask him his story and how he started his business. It'll probably be the best story you hear today, so definitely ask him. And he offers 10% off to our members. But will you guys give a warm welcome for Michael, one of our newest sponsors?
Thank you. And I want to give a gift for you guys being here as well. First person who likes to stand up and live, just raise your two hands up. Sorry, I just caught Andre. Is that okay? All right. So if you want to know where I got the water, I have more cards to tell you. Otherwise, I want to say thank you for being here. And Omaha is like OMA is this like the airport. I'm basically going to be, I'm international. So as far as my concept is, but as far as how far I'm going with carpet cleaning and upholstery, I use chemistry. So if you're ever wondering why your carpet statically attracts dirt, it's actually like a feather duster. After you vacuum it, you statically charge it. And so the challenge with that is what you should do is put 70% rubbing alcohol across your carpet. If you're not too sensitive to it, use 3% hydrogen peroxide, but you just charge that carpet, and then you want to attract dirt to it. So tell your tenants yourself. So you'll kill bacteria, but I am so clean you heal, and I'm using chemistry. So I have some of the best offers as well. I use encapsulation shampoo. I'm levels beyond my competition, like ×4. I'll be there up to 4 times with your visit, and you'll get 20% off being a member. You being here is 10% off, but just thank you for being here, guys. And so clean we heal. That's pretty much where I'm on a mission. I'm Christ-centered as a community, try to give you a good estimate and tell you what we stepped in. But that's pretty much how I can continue to help you. Thank you so much for being here, and let's celebrate. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And thank you for being our newest sponsor. I appreciate it very much. Before I invite Jenny up, I want to kind of throw something out to you before I announce this, and this was pretty fun. So I'm going to throw some stats out. When we took over this group, we had 74 members. We roughly have 450 members now. We had 140 emails on our newsletter system. We have over 16,000 emails in our newsletter system now. This is getting somewhere. Our Facebook page was private, and you couldn't post on it. We had under 200 people on that Facebook group. We have over 9,600 now, and I tried my damnedest to make sure that's not spam to you guys. We had a podcast that didn't exist, and it's now ranked in the top 2% in the world. I say this because my wife Jessica and I, as of today, this date, have owned this REIA for 5 years today, and it's awesome. I got the chills. Thank you. It has been a privilege to be in front of you guys. I think I kind of covered this in some sort of way, but to be able to do this every month is a privilege and a blessing. There's such a great community here. We always get new faces in. I get to meet so many new people. And then there's people that, like Lisa, I've known for since I was running Omaha Nightlife with some buddies back when I was like in my early 20s. So thank you so much. There's just, I made so many different business partners, connections, and this has absolutely changed my life. And my goal is that this changes your life too. And in the end, our biggest goal here is to be able to keep on growing and not be stagnant. We do have some new stuff coming out. And one goal that's been on my sheet now for almost 3 years was to do a full day seminar. We are doing that now. I'm going to cover that more in a minute. And so my goal is to do more and more for you guys. And I'm looking for your feedback. So if there's something I can do better, if there's something I suck at, just tell me. I will, and I take all your feedback fully, and that's what this is all about. So thank you so much. And I want to shout out to my wife Jessica, because 2 of our people called in sick. So if you got checked in at the front door, it was just her running it. She told me, she's like, I don't want you up here. You're gonna slow me down. So can you guys give a round of applause to Jessica so we can hear? She won't come in right now. I know she won't. So, and then our last speaker up here before we get going today is Jenny Castaneda. She is our drink sponsor tonight and has been the last 2 months and multiple other times, and a golf sponsor and our REIA sponsor and whatnot. But she's going to tell us a little about Phoenix Restoration and what they can do for you guys and why it's good to have her on your team. So, Jenny.
Great. Thanks, guys. It's great to see another full room. I mean, hearing the stats is just amazing. Congratulations. But I'm Jenny Castaneda. I'm with Phoenix Restoration Services, and we specialize in everything fire, water, storm, and mold damage and cleanup. So what we do is we help people pick up the pieces. It's always traumatizing, terrifying. You never know what you're going to walk into, but we're here to get them from point A to point B. So as we approach the holiday weekend, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but I want you guys to be empowered. I'm going to share 5 common causes of property fires. And again, not to scare you, but this is knowledge for you to protect your property, your people, and to give you peace of mind. So 5 common causes of property fires. Number 1, discarded sparklers and all fireworks. They burn at 1,800 degrees Fahrenheit, if you did not know. Those are just your simple sparklers. Please soak them in water, and please place all unused fireworks, your duds, everything in water before you even think about tossing them away. That's probably the number 1 call we get for house fires. Next is launching fireworks near mulch beds. Mulch beds can combust. So please instead designate an area away from mulch, away from your grass, away from your lawn, away from your building, preferably on concrete or gravel. Number 3, grilling. Anyone grilling? Charcoal grills left near hot siding and fences. We get those calls. So please try to grill at least 10 feet away from your property. We don't want to take any chances on that. And then exactly, no, literally, yes. Like text your tenants tonight. Like, please remind them, send out those emails. Again, or number 4, improper storage of propane tanks near heat sources. Please keep them upright, have it in a well-ventilated space. Again, it's just so easy to combust. And lastly, fireworks landing on roof lines and your gutters, especially if your gutters have not been cleaned and you have some leaves in that. Maybe check your gutters before the 4th. Just do a little inspection. But if you light those fireworks up, just do a little walkabout. Maybe if you can, have someone sober check those gutters. I know what you're doing. I know what happens. Just do a little walkabout. You just don't know if there's anything smoldering. But besides that, I hope everyone has a safe 4th of July. And if you don't have a restoration company in your phone, please grab my number. My cards are over there, or get that main number on our banner and save it, because we want to be there and help you move on from disaster. So thank you so much. Please enjoy, and I'll see you at the happy hour. Thank you.
Good job. Hey, one thing that's been pretty cool is I look around here, I see Gerard, I see Neil, I see you guys bringing your kids in, and I have young ones, and one thing I've mentioned before, and I want you guys to know, if you guys have young ones, if they're under 18, please bring them. It's free to bring them in. We want them to grow. We want them to learn. We want them to see what their mom and dad are doing. And, there's nothing, I think, cooler for those kids to see, what mom and dad are doing, and, kind of put it all together, put those pieces together. Plus, they start learning that lingo right away. And we just did a podcast, and he had a property management company in Council Bluffs. He's like, yeah, I watched dad do this since I was born. Now he's managing 2,400 units. That podcast comes out next Wednesday. You should check it out. It's pretty fun. But think about that. Get them started early. They're welcome here, and we love to have them. If you got a little baby infant, you're welcome. But if they start crying, you gotta go outside. we support it all. A couple events I want to cover real quick. I'm almost done, and I know Fernando's probably like throwing me the finger right now. But anyway, a couple things I do want to talk about. August 5th. It's that first Tuesday. Design that sells, rents and retains, leveraging interior designs to maximize REI with Nikki Klug. We had Nikki on the podcast, I think a couple weeks ago. She's got great creative ideas about how to get your rents up, how to get more money for your property when you go to sell it. If you got Airbnb styling, she's just a wealth of knowledge. She's got about 50 apartment units here in town. And she's got a great story. If you want to know more about her, listen to the podcast on REIA Radio, and then give us a 5-star review while you're at it. August 20th is our REIA Mastery event. It's our full-day event. We are submitting in right now to get 6 credit hours for anybody who has a real estate license. That's not official yet, so I haven't put it on the flyers, but Paul Vichesky's helping us make that happen, and we're super excited about that. Please sign up. Tickets are only $199 if you're a REIA member. If you're not a member, $300, and includes a membership, so you save $25. So take advantage of that. Your guys' support means the world to us. Plus, if somebody would want to sponsor that, also please let us know. And the rest of the events, you can go to the table out there and you can see all of them for the rest of the year. We've got a lot of stuff coming up, so please check that out. The flyers are on the tables also. If you take those with you, it means I don't have to pick them up, so that's a good thing. Also, I mentioned podcast. We did a replay of the Jeff Holst when he spoke here earlier this year. So that was our No Bad Days podcast. We did the real estate rundown where, like I said, Owen and I just kind of shoot the breeze. And then tomorrow we have Kirk Jaffe on the podcast. So check that out. That'll be episode 224. But speaking of podcasts, I'm going to get into it here in a minute. But I do want to introduce my speaker today. Man, it is July, just so you guys know. And when we bring a speaker like this, normally this night would have 60 people, right? But not when we have Fernando in the office. So welcome to another Pack 9 of the Omaha REIA, where we don't just have gurus, get rich, quick pitches, because that's not who we are. No 3-hour monologues about wholesaling in 2008, how cool it was. Just people, real stories, and real strategies that actually work. Now, our speaker tonight didn't grow up dreaming about owning hundreds of metal boxes filled with tons of people's junk. Now you do. But somewhere along the way, he realized that those little boxes, aka storage units, might be one of the smartest and most recession-proof ways to build serious wealth. His name is Fernando Angelucci, but around the country, he is known as the Storage Stud. And listen, we usually don't give people, those nicknames, allow them to use it around here. But in this case, he's kind of earned it. And Owen especially loved that name during the podcast. But Fernando is the CEO of Self Storage Syndicated Equities, SSSE.com, if you want to check it out. And he's built self-storage empire. We're talking over $250 million in storage assets, more than 14,000 rental units across 24 states, with nearly 1,000 investors investing his deals. So, not a bad guy to come walk away from not a bad for a guy who walked away from a Fortune 50 corporate job from a 23 years old to figure out how to turn garages into gold mines. And hey, if you think about storage doesn't sound exciting, just wait, because Fernando's episode on REIA Radio, episode 87, wasn't just good. It became one of our top podcasts that we've ever had and one of Owen's all-time favorites. Tonight, he's not here to pitch you anything, because that's not the guy he is. He's here to show you how he did it and how he can do it, and why self-storage might just be the most overlooked wealth-building tool in real estate. So get ready to take notes. If you need pens, over here, Brady's got a whole bunch of them, and not Brad. And take some notes, and find out what the most overlooked piece of asset that's out there. So please give a huge round of applause for Fernando Angelucci.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
As Fernando comes up here too, guys, there is a microphone in the middle here. If you do have questions, because he will be taking questions, we ask that you come to the microphone. If you're not able to come to the microphone to answer a question, let me know, and I will come to you. And bring the mic to you. But the main reason we ask that is because we are live streaming this event, and we want to make sure everybody hears your questions online. And Fernando's going to kick butt today, so we're going to cut this into a podcast down the road. So I really appreciate it. Thank you. Fernando, here we go, buddy.
All right. How's everybody doing? Let me just make sure I can see this. And I can see it. Huh? Yeah, I'm good here. All right. Thank you very much. I really appreciate the introduction. Thank you for the sponsors. Awesome. I'd love to talk to you. 80%, sub 7. That's awesome. So, all right. How do I get this? There we go. Perfect. So SSSE, tell you a little bit about who I am and why maybe it's worth listening to me for a little bit of time here. So Fernando Angelucci, I travel 8 months out of the year. I literally flew from southern Brazil to be here today for you guys. 10-hour flight to Chicago, then 4 hours of delay, and then I got picked up at the airport. So I'll tell you why I did that and why I'm able to, or how I'm able to achieve this. And hopefully maybe you guys have some interest in this asset class. Ooh. What am I doing here? Let's see. How do I get this to work? I need help. It says it's going.
So while he's setting that up, I had Fernando in the car, and he's like, I normally don't come to these REIA events, and the main reason is because it's usually in a big box. I think Des Moines REIA reached out to him. He's like, there's 18 people that are going to be speaking to me. I'll just live stream to that. Yeah. He's like, I gave up on REIAs, but you said you did some research on us.
Right.
And so it is an absolute privilege to have you.
One of the largest REIAs in the country. Yep. Great attendance. You grew it fantastically over the last 5 years, so I appreciate it.
You didn't know you were going to be out here on our 5-year birthday, did you?
No, I did not. So very special.
Either did Joanne until my wife told me.
Yeah. Okay, so what have I done since I started in self-storage? We've done roughly $230 million worth of storage, 50 plus facilities, 24 states. I've done all of this in the last 6.5 years. Okay, so I'm going to show you how I did it. That's roughly about 2 million net rentable square feet. That's kind of how we, that's kind of our numbers that we use. We don't use how many storages or how many units that you have. And then I have a little over 900 passive investors. Very important to scale a real estate business. So this is the first of 7 presentations I have. I'll give you the other 6 for free. Just send me an email. I'm just going to warn you, though, in those videos, I have this horrible 80s mustache. So at least you can laugh a little bit while you're watching those. I cleaned it up here for you guys, okay? A little bit about me before I got into real estate. So I am a son of 2 immigrants. They came to the United States in the 80s, roughly. They had this old school, mentality for me. Come to the United States, get good grades, get a good job with a Fortune 500 company, get a pension, retire after 40 years. I actually did that. So I went on. I was actually in Omaha roughly 12 years ago. I'm an ag bio engineer. I came here, I interviewed. I didn't get the job because they took me to some really nice steakhouse and I ordered a steak well done because I didn't know any better. And it was terrible. People can change, all right? People can change. I know, I get them bloody. So ended up getting a job with Dow Chemical, lived in Des Moines, Iowa. From there, within 6 months, I realized that through researching how the tax code works, if you're a W-2 employee, you are the ones that pay basically all the tax into the U.S. economy. And if you're a business owner, or you provide housing or you provide energy, the three main things, you don't get taxed. And it's not because you're getting a tax break, is the people that don't do those things, they get penalized for not doing those things that the government wants. The tax code is used to do the things that the government wants you to do. It's over 70,000 pages. 2% of that is on actually how to raise taxes. The other 98% is on the things that they want you to do. And if you do those, you get the benefits for doing those things for the government. From there, I've done everything you guys have done in this room. I wholesaled real estate. I was a real estate agent. I did fix and flips. I bought rentals in the hood. I bought rentals in not the hood, but not great areas. I did hard money lending. I did Airbnb. And then finally, I came upon self-storage. So how did that happen? Around 2016, started seeing writing on the wall regarding private real estate investment and how the government wanted to get a little bit more, involved, get their hands into the pie and have control. We saw a trend going across the United States, usually from starting in New York and San Francisco and then moving into the Midwest where we are now, where, housing is perceived as a basic human right, which I'm not here to argue that. However, the government wants to be able to control when things are going wrong. So we saw this, right on display during COVID, the pandemic. The government basically said tenants didn't have to pay rent. That's not exactly what they said. They just said, hey, if they can't pay rent, you can't evict them, which is a sign to your tenants that they don't have to pay rent and they can't get evicted. But at that same time, you as the real estate investor had to continue paying your mortgage, had to continue paying your property taxes. There was no break for you guys, right? So I saw that in 2016, said, hey, we got to get out of the residential space and needed to find another investment that was real estate oriented, but did not have the same risks that residential real estate had. Number one, I don't want anybody living in my investment. That's a huge risk, not only to me, but then to my investors. And we're here at SSSE to try to mitigate as much downside risk as possible and try to collect all those tax benefits that I was talking about that's in the tax code for us, right? So 2018, I bought my first self-storage facility. 2016 is when I started selling off my residential portfolio and learning the self-storage space, how I learned all new asset classes, which is through wholesaling. I'm sure you guys are pretty familiar how that works. I figured, hey, if I have some investors that are, 40-year vets, they know how to do this, and they're willing to pay me a premium on what I was able to get these self-storage facilities under contract for, I'm probably doing something right. So bought my first self-storage facility in 2018, just shy of $1 million. Since that date, about 6.5, 7 years now, I have done 52 facilities, 53 facilities, about 230 million. So it kind of goes like this. And then once you learn how to syndicate money, how to raise capital, then it goes like this. And then of course you need very good debt partners as well. So I'm going to talk to our boy over here. So why self-storage? This seems like a boring asset. Most people don't even think about it. I've already talked to a few of you before this all started during the networking event. Why self-storage? So here's what we're going to go over today. Number one, highest return across any real estate asset class over the last 3 decades, if not longer, but this is how long we have data for. It is recession resilient. It has great leverage available to it, specifically through SBA programs. Easier management, extremely fragmented market, which I'll get into this a little bit more to show you what that is. Very low break-even occupancies, leveraged and unleveraged. extremely easy evictions. And I'm using quotes for this because we actually don't have evictions. We actually have better protections in the state law that's codified than regular real estate investors have. Extremely high sticky factors and ancillary profit center. So rent is not only the single income stream that you'll have like you do with most residential-based real estate. So let's go through each of these a little bit more in depth. So highest return versus any other asset class. Like I said, I'm an ag bioengineer by training. I'm a numbers guy. I'm a geek. I'm a nerd. I saw somebody playing Nintendo. There it is right there. Nintendo Switch 2. I'm waiting to buy it. So let's just look at the value of your money in 2021, which is the most recent data set that we have, if you invested $100,000 in 1994. So 27 years, almost 3 decades, okay? S&P 500, which is your typical investors in the room, they have a 401k, 10.8%, which is, not bad, pretty good. So if you had $100,000 invested in 1994, you invest your dividends, you'd have about $1.6 million. Now, most of the people in this room, residential investors. When I say residential, I mean habitation-based real estate. So apartment buildings and single-family homes is the same thing. You have somebody living in your asset paying you rent. 14.4% average annual return, a little bit better. That $100,000 after about 3 decades, $3.8 million. 18.8% in self-storage. What does that extra 4%, 4.4% mean between residential and self-storage? That means an extra $6 million, almost $7 million on your money over a 30-year period. 10.4, $10.5 million. This is data. This is National Association of Real Estate Investment Trusts and Y charts. Extremely quality data here, okay? So, recession resilient. So usually people say, well, Fernando, if the returns are so good, that must mean that the risk is extremely high. And I say it's actually not. When you look at the data, it is asymmetric risk return profiles. So biggest recession we have gone through recently, I'm not really counting the pandemic because it was so fast and everything came back really fast. 2007 to 2009, the GFC, Great Financial Crisis. Look at the data here. If you were invested in mortgages, 19.5%. I know we got some hard money lenders in here. S&P 500, 22% loss. That's a huge loss. It took these investors that were fully invested in the S&P 500 almost 20 years to get back to the investment that they were at. That's an insane amount of lost time, right? You lose money, you can always make money back. But when you lose time, there's nothing you can do about that. Multifamily and residential, basically same numbers, lost about 7%. These are REITs. They had access to rescue capital at extremely low rates from JP Morgan, these huge banks. Us, personal investors, we lost way more than this. I know many people that went bankrupt had to 10-year credit blemish because of what happened during this time. Self-storage, 3.8% loss. This is the REIT side. I know investors personally that when they were investing during this time, they were picking up self-storage properties for cheap. The returns were fantastic. So why is that? Well, think about it. Self-storage is a recession-resilient asset. We are in the transition and trauma business. So when you are downsizing, when you are moving, when you lose your job, when you have to crunch on dollars and you have to move in with family, move in with friends, what are you going to do with your possessions? You're not going to get rid of them because then you're going to have to start all over again once we get out of the trough and buy all those things again. Nobody does that. They put them into self-storage. In the United States, prior to the pandemic, 1 in 11 households use self-storage. After the pandemic, it's now 1 in 9. That's a huge increase over a 3-year period, and it's continuing to go up. Why is it continuing to go up? We have the 2 largest generations, the baby boomers, that are retiring en masse. 15,000 people retiring per day. 1 million baby boomers dying per year. What are they doing with their possessions? These are people that they grew up either, depending on what side of the generational gap they were on, either grew up in the Great Depression or grew up with parents that were in the Great Depression. So you were taught you don't throw anything away, because you never know if you're going to have to use that again. So what do they do now? They store those things. And these people that are downsizing, they were in one of the best generations to buy single family homes. They came back, the war, GI Bill, you had affordable housing, you buy a 5-bedroom, 3-bath house that's on a ranch style setup. And then all of a sudden now you're down, all the kids are gone. You may have grandkids now, and you're downsizing onto a 1 or a 2-bedroom condo. What are you going to do with your stuff? You're not going to sell it. You're not going to give it away. You're going to put it into storage, right? The other side of that generational gap is the millennials, which are now reaching peak household formation age. So they don't have the options now because of this affordability crisis to buy a 5-bedroom ranch in the suburbs. It's just not attainable for them. So what do they prefer to do? They go to downtown Omaha, where they don't need a car. They can, within 15 minutes, they can walk and get anything, groceries, nightlife, restaurants, etc. What do they sacrifice for that? Now you're going into a 750 to 1,000 square foot condo, 1, 2, maybe 3 bedrooms if you're getting the good stuff. And then they're using self-storage as an additional closet, or 2 additional closets, or an additional bedroom, because that additional bedroom is going to cost them an additional $100,000 to $150,000 on the purchase price. Or if they're renting, an additional $600 to $1,000 on the rental price, depending on where you are. Average for, I know here it's a little bit more affordable. So they're using these as external closets. Put the summer gear in there, put the winter gear. Maybe you like to do outdoor activities, you're going to store all that in there. Maybe you got a quad or whatever, that's going into the self-storage. Pandemic. So I didn't want to talk about it too much, but because the numbers are so insane, I just had to bring it up. So according to TREP, T-R-E-P-P, a commercial mortgage-backed securities research firm, of the 1,700 CMBS loans that were made to self-storage in the first 3 quarters of the pandemic, only 3 of those were delinquent. Why? Because people had to now start working from home. Kids had to start going to school from home. That means you lost 1 or even 2 bedrooms. What did you do with those furniture, right? You put them into self-storage. That's a 0.17% delinquency rate. What was the delinquency rate on multifamily residents during that time? It was 18,000% higher, 18x the default of self-storage. So when people say, well, if it's got a high return, it must have a high risk, it's not the case. This is asymmetric investing here. 2021 was the best year on record I had on my entire portfolio. We had 80% year-over-year rent growth. You can't, that's an insane number. It's almost crazy to even say, but 80% year-over-year rent growth. My net worth during that time tripled. Number 3, safest loans equals you get the best leverage from the banks because they want to make sure that they're rounding out their portfolio when situations like this are happening. Pandemic, now we're having a office crisis. These banks are saying, hey, we're too over leveraged in these loans that aren't making sense. We need to bring stuff that's safer. How do we get those loans in? We need to offer good leverage and good terms. Lowest default rate of any asset class, 7 years running. And this is still the ramp out of the GFC. 2010, 2011, 2012, trying to get debt was impossible. Only once you got to maybe 2016 did it start getting a lot easier for residential properties or multifamily, habitation-based real estate. Lowest average loss per default, if it did go into a default, almost 30 years running, 20 years running. And banks were fighting over each other to get us leverage. So I just recently went out on debt. I had 47 banks submit term offers on one deal, term sheets on one deal. So let's look into the actual numbers. I'm a data guy, right? So let's look at the default rate per asset class. You can see the dates. First, they start in quarters, and then they actually break down into months. Look at healthcare. 10.9% default rate. Multifamily, once we were getting out of the pandemic, where's my light here? 15 to 13%. That is a huge loss for a bank. That is a big loss. This is something that when this happens, credit's like, we're not doing this anymore. We're not even offering loans to these type of people, even if they put up 50%, 60% down payments. Look at self-storage in these times. 4% right when we're unwinding on this stuff. Look it up here, this line. 0.04% default rate compared to healthcare at 11, compared to multifamily at 2%, compared to industrial at 7%. The darlings, if you will, that people claim are amazing investments. Average loss per default. Let's say self-storage does go into default. How much is the bank losing on that loan? 0.86% loss of capital compared to, look at this, 4.38, 3.4. Look at retail. Look at industrial. So the numbers are there. This is a safe investment with outsized returns. Less people equals less management. This is the piece that really got me off. This and another piece I'll talk about here really got me into the asset class. When I was running residential properties, I thought it was a passive investment. I thought you buy the place, the tenants pay. Once a year, you have to go check the property. They either re-sign or you get a new tenant. Whose experience is that? Who has that experience here? Nobody? Nobody? Yeah. So whose income here is truly passive? Show of hands, how many hours a week are you guys managing your passive investments? So 1 hour a week. Oh, Ted, nice. 4 hours a week. 8 hours a week, 20 hours a week, 40 hours a week, full-time job, right? Yeah. Let me show you the numbers on my very first deal I bought. I bought a deal in Yorkville, Illinois. It was 2.5 hours from my house. It was the tiniest deal. It was less than 17,000 square feet. I bought it for $970,000. I spent 4 hours a month working on that investment, which equated to roughly $8,000 a month in passive NOI. That's $2,000 an hour. Who's making that type of return here? Right? That's what I thought. The nice thing is, people think, oh, well, Fernando, to get to that level, you need to have a huge facility. It needs to be 80,000 square feet. No. The nice thing is these smaller facilities are the ones that are unmanned. They're automated. This facility, let me tell you how junk this facility was. It was behind a Dunkin' Donuts, no fence. It didn't even have electricity. We used the lights from Dunkin' Donuts to illuminate it at night. The only time I had to come down was like the occasional time I had to cut off a lock. I'm out there like with an angle grinder, sparks flying all over me. And a police officer comes up like, you breaking into this unit? It's like, I'm actually the owner, believe it or not. Show them my card, right? So this is extremely feasible. And the nice thing is, you go to SBA lenders, that facility is let's call it $1 million for ease of numbers. You only need to put up $100,000. And in some cases, if you can pair that with seller financing, the actual dollars out of your pocket could be 5%, right? 5%, $50,000 to control $1 million asset. What other real estate can you do that in? And why is that available? Because SBA is for businesses. Multifamily isn't a business. Self-storage is a business. It is real estate, but it is a business. So it qualifies for small business administration financing. Fragmented market equals ton of opportunity. The reason I put this slide in here is everyone's like, Fernando, I see self-storage for, it's everywhere. We're lousy with it. It's oversaturated. And I was like, it really isn't though. If you look at the numbers, this is a 2017 study. The 2021 just came out. I didn't update the slide, so it's a little bit higher. Around 52 to 61,000 self-storage facilities in the United States. What does that break down into? Everyone's like, oh, it's all big players. How can a little guy compete? Turns out when you look at the data, that's not the case at all. 18% of the facilities owned are owned by the 6 largest real estate investment trusts. You know the names: Public Storage, Extra Space, U-Haul, You see them all over the place, right? 9% of the facilities are owned by the next 100 largest operators. I'm a part of this group right here. I got to 230 million in 6 years being this tiny fraction right here. That means 73% of the facilities in the United States are owned by mom and pop operators. Somebody that has 2 or fewer facilities, usually they're treating it almost like a hobby. It's not a bit, they're not running it like a business. That's opportunity for you guys. You could come in, you could buy these facilities, you could turn around very easy. Some of the things so easy, it's almost mind-blowing that they haven't done it themselves. Put it online, get a website, register it for Google My Business. So people say, you know, they go into Google and they say self-storage in Omaha, and you actually show up on the search listing. How crazy is that, right? I had a facility that I bought. Just by putting the facility on a Google My Business page, I was able to raise rents 69% in 1 year. 69%. I doubled the value of the investment without doing literally anything physical to the investment. There's tons, like I'm showing here, there's tons of owners like this. The opportunity right now is ripe for investment. Consolidation is the name of the game right now. No tenants, no toilets, no trash. The bane of my effing existence when I was a habitation-based real estate investor. I had 69 doors. At the same time, I was also wholesaling about 70 single-family homes per year, making basically no money, massive operation to basically break even, and then every day I'm getting calls, someone got shot at your facility. It's -20 out in Chicago, and the heater went out, and if you don't fix it, these people are going to die in 4 hours. I'm just like, this is extremely stressful. I didn't sign up for this to be constantly, every time my phone rings, I'd wake up in a panic, be like, who got shot? You know? This is not what I got into it for. So I was like, how do I get rid of all my stressors and still make the same type of returns or not better? And it came down to these 3 T's. No tenants, no toilets, no trash. Low break-even occupancies, which means low risk. Low to mid-30s occupancies for unleveraged assets, mid to high 60s for occupancy for leveraged assets. Depending on how big the asset is, these numbers can shift a little bit. And I'll show you a deal specifically. I'll give you real numbers on my first deal that I was talking about. Extremely low overhead. So there's no toilets. There's no water heaters. There's no residential roofs that you have to deal with, constantly having leaks and issues and not working. No, minimally, I have 2 bathrooms for 100,000 square feet of self-storage. There's no carpet cleaning. There's no painting. There's no leaky faucets. There's no tenants using the gas to heat the house instead of using the actual heater. They're just heating on the stove. None of that. No winter HVAC failures, no water heater failures. These are all my stressors in life. You don't have any of this with self-storage. So here's a case study. This is that facility I was telling you about. I bought. First deal I ever bought, didn't know what I was doing at all. Break even at purchase, 35% occupancy unleveraged. So if I was 35% full, I was already paying all of my expenses. Once I put debt on it, 81% occupancy is what I needed for it to break even, to pay basically cash after debt service. I needed to be able to pay all the expenses and the debt. I bought it from a farmer. I think you can, and I can't see it. So there, right here is the Dunkin' Donuts. Bought it from a farmer. Basically, it was like, I'm working today, I'm not working today. If somebody called, I'd miss it. So like, he wasn't treating it professionally at all. No website, nothing. At stabilization, right before I sold it, 28% occupancy is what I needed if I held it cash. With the debt I had on it, it only needed to hit 64% occupancy to break even completely. Debt and operations. I bought this facility for $970,000. Didn't use any of my own money. 100% investor money. When I went to sell it 3 years later, I sold it for $1.8 million, $800,000 profit for basically working 4 hours a month. Who here would like to do an investment like that, right? Exactly. Thank you. So the second part of the bane of my existence was evictions. And I lived in a very landlord, very tenant-friendly part of the state of Illinois, which is Chicago, and specifically within Cook County. Why is that? Because in self-storage, it is lien law or property law as opposed to landlord-tenant law, which is what most residential investors deal with. So what does that mean? A customer comes in, they sign a lease. Even if they don't sign the lease, they're already forced to follow it because of the way the state statutes are written. They're completely in our favor as operators. You put your stuff into our unit, I automatically have a lien against your possession. It's like when you don't pay your HVAC guy, he puts a lien on your property, and when you sell it, he's going to get paid or else you can't sell it, right? Title company will make you pay the HVAC guy even if you had an argument with him and you didn't think the work was worth it. Same thing here. The customer, I have a lien against their possessions. The second they stop paying, automatically I put this red manager lock. The first facility I did it. Now all the facilities I have somebody else do it for me. That means the customer's access to the unit is denied until payment. And now the types of facilities I own are completely gated with keypad entry, so they can't even get on the grounds unless they pay their past due balance off, plus all the late fees and lien fees, etc. Let's say they don't pay though. Well, then I send it to auction. And the way you see Storage Wars, it looks all sexy. You find gold bars and jet skis. That's not how it is. It's basically eBay. You take a couple photos, you put it online, people bid on it. And then whoever wins, they have to give me a $200 deposit or whatever we set from that site. They have 7 days, or depending on the state, even 3 days to come take all of the possessions out of the unit, not just pick and choose the stuff they want. And if they don't leave it broom swept, I keep the $200 deposit to pay somebody to go throw the stuff in the trash. All this happens while I'm traveling the world, right? 8 months per year, like I said. At the end, the turn of that unit is, let's say they didn't sweep well enough. My guy, there's no damage. It's concrete floor and steel walls. What are you going to do to it? How many turns have you had where this is all you had to do for your residential project? Just sweep it, right? No. Paint, sometimes utilities, carpet's always effed. Can I swear on this thing or no? I'm trying so hard not to. Okay, oh yeah, that's right. So every time I had to change tenants, the carpet was crushed. I just couldn't do it. So there's no carpet here, right? You're not paying those. And then on that turn, what else happens? You have to list it with a real estate agent. They take 1 month rent. You lose usually 2 to 3 months because you have to do the turn, then you have to list it, then you have to do the background checks, and then you have to get them in and deposit, etc. So by the end of this, and then the cost of the actual turn itself, carpet, painting, that's another 1 to 2 months rent. So you lose one tenant, you already lost half of a year's profit on that unit. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't happen here. A new customer is in the unit 30 to 45 days from the day that the tenant is delinquent. So not the day I get them out. The day they stopped paying, within 1 month to a month and a half, I already have a new tenant in place, and I don't lose any rent. Because on top of the rent that they didn't pay, I now legally, based on the Illinois or any state statutes, the Nebraska state statute is the same thing, I can charge a lien fee because I had to place a lien. I can charge a auction fee because I had to pay somebody to do the auction. So none of these costs go to me. I literally pass them on to the person that stopped paying for their unit. So there's literally no cost to turn to me. Extremely high sticky factor. This is another thing that I love about self-storage. $20 increase on a $150 unit is not worth the 2-3 days of moving stuff out, getting a U-Haul truck, trying to bribe your friends with pizza and beer to help you move your possessions out of a unit that you should have thrown away 10 years ago anyway. So you raise the rent on somebody $20, they're just going to take it. And then if they're on credit cards, they don't even notice it. That's a 13% increase to the bottom line without one additional expense to the business. What is a 13% increase on habitation-based real estate, on a rental property? Let's say you have a $1,500 apartment and you raise by 13%. That's a $200 increase on the rent. You think your tenant's staying when you raise the rent $200 per month in 1 year? Absolutely not. They're going to go across town. They'll go to a different town just to find rent that is not at least $50 more than what their current rent is, right? So that shows the stickiness of our customers. They're not going to leave because just the inconvenience. They just don't want to deal with it. And then the last part is ancillary profit centers. So habitation-based real estate, you're just collecting rent. Maybe you can get some additional, you put in a RUBS system, ratio utility billing system, so that you can bill each individual tenant for the utilities on like a multifamily deal. How many ancillary profit centers do you guys think is in storage? 2? Show of hands. 5? 8? How many additional streams of income can you get on a self-storage facility? 8? 10? I'll just show you. Car storage, RV storage, boat storage, locks, renter's insurance, moving supplies, packaging materials, FedEx, printing services, scanning services, cell tower, billboard advertisements, wine storage, truck rentals, private mailboxes, propane filling, ATMs, vending machines. And this is just half of the ones I have on my list that I run through, the checklist when I buy a facility. This is just half of them. So the way that you can diversify your income stream just from one investment, it's insane. All right, so I told you what I was going to tell you. Then I told you. And now I'm going to tell you what I just told you. Highest return, recession tolerance, great leverage, easier management, fragmented market, low break even, easy evictions, high sticky factor, ancillary profit centers. But Fernando, this sounds too good to be true. What are the downsides? I'll tell you what the downsides are, and then I'm going to tell you how to mitigate against them. How to mitigate against the downsides. Man, it's like I could tell what's coming up on the presentation. Number 1, compressed cap rates. Self-storage used to be the ugly, redheaded stepchild, or whatever that phrase is. I never understood why that phrase was. I have a lot of really awesome redheaded friends. I used to be able to buy deals at like 14, 15% cap rates. Just insane numbers. Then all of a sudden, you got Forbes magazine, these sons of guns, Fortune, Money magazine, being like, the red-headed stepchild of real estate investment and why you should get into it now. And then guess what? All the private equity firms that read those articles are like, they're right, we should get into these. And then billions of dollars flowed into our industry, right? So now you have Blackstone, you have Bill Gates investing, you have multiple large private and hedge funds. Attractive alternative asset in the alternative bucket. So that creates a competitive acquisition environment. You're competing against people that literally have billions of dollars. I don't have billions of dollars. You guys don't. I'm assuming you guys don't. If you do, come talk to me after the meeting. I'd love to chat with you. And then on top of that, you have brokers stripping upside. Nothing against you, okay? I'm a broker. I used to be a broker myself. I get it. You're trying to get the best value for your customer, your client, right? But that takes a lot of the good value out. So how do you mitigate against these things? Well, the solution is, instead of buying on retail, buy off market. And guess what? You can buy off market with brokers. They have you told me you had a pocket listing today at the bar. Lisa, right? Yes. I'm going to talk to Lisa later. She got a pocket listing here in North Bend, not Indiana, Nebraska. And then the second thing is, don't buy stabilized assets. You're not buying this stuff to just collect the coupon. You guys are going to force the value. So you buy value add deals. It's got a little hair on it. This is how I started. I would call all the brokers. I was like, give me the dirtiest, hairiest self-storage facilities you have. Like, just shy of like human remains. Like, I'll take those deals, you know, because I will make them work, and then you increase the value. Look at that one I bought, the very first deal. Bought it for $970, sold it for $1.8 million. 3 years later, basically didn't work on it at all. Made $800,000. That's more than what people make like in their lifetime. It's insane, the opportunities in this business. What else, Fernando? Come on, there has to be things that are horrible as well. Yes, you're right. Oversaturation. What does that mean? Well, there's a bunch of land grabs to stake a flag in the ground. These are going to be your big REITs, right? U-Haul, Life Storage, or I guess now they're Extra Space Storage, Public. They have longer investment timelines than we do, right? They're publicly traded, so they're like, I'm willing to throw money at this thing for 10 years and it being not profitable, knowing that the next 20 years after that it's going to be profitable. So how do you combat against that? Cheap construction costs in this business. So I don't know if there's any house builders or apartment builders here. When I stopped building apartments, it was $350 a foot to build. This is obviously Chicago prices. I'm assuming it's a little bit cheaper here. I'm building self-storage facilities today for $99 a foot. It's crazy. It's 1/3 the cost. So the supply index is dropping year over year. What is supply index? Supply index is net rentable square feet per capita in your trade area. I know that's a mouthful. Wherever you're getting most of your tenants, which is usually 1 to 5 mile radius around your facility, or better metric, 5 to 15-minute drive time from your facility, because nobody wants to go to the next town over to store stuff. They want something that's easy, convenient, on the way home or on the way to work, right? So that's kind of your area. So as more people come in, that supply index starts dropping. So what's the solution? This is the importance of underwriting and feasibility studies. So not only learning how to underwrite these facilities yourself, and like I said, this is one of a 7-part series. I'll have my email at the end. I'll give you everything for free. I'll give you the videos with me, mustachioed Fernando, talking about how to underwrite, how to do marketing for these, how to raise money for them, how to do property management. It's all free. And then feasibility studies. Feasibility studies are so important in our business because when you really want a deal to work, all of a sudden, red flags start looking pink, and then pink flags start looking like white flags. So you need somebody that you pay up front that has no stake in the game to be like, you know what, Fernando, you're not, how about this and this? How about this problem here? Like, I don't think this is going to work out. So great insurance when you're going on. And the nice thing is these deals are so big, even the small self-storage deals are $1 million. So you have the cash flow and the value there to pay for professional third parties, as opposed to like when you buy a $50,000, house in the hood, you can't pay somebody $12,000 to do a feasibility study to see if it makes sense to buy in the hood, because that's 1/5 of the value of the deal that you're buying. Here, $10,000 is nothing. That's 1/10 of 1% of the deal cost. You just charge it to the game. You just throw it on the settlement statement, and UMB will just pay for it, right? REIT competition, real estate, investment trusts, they have a very different style of getting taxed. They have to distribute cash. So they're constantly buying, they're constantly distributing cash. They have basically unlimited cash because they have access to the public markets. So everyone, these 401ks, these retirement plans are just every week or every 2 weeks, depending on how you get paid, you just got automatic money just flowing into the market that go to these guys' hands. And they need to deploy that, or else if they don't deploy 90% of their available cash, they lose their tax status. So like they have to put money on the street. And like I said, they have longer investment timelines, 30-year play usually, sometimes even longer depending on if they're trying to get into larger markets. So what's the solution? Avoid primary markets like Chicago, New York, LA, buy in secondary and tertiary markets like Omaha, Nebraska. So I know that was very quick. I talked very fast. I'm sorry. I tried to slow it down. I even drank a beer here. I forgot about my beer, actually. I'm just going to grab a little bit of this. So Yeah. So contact information, again, my company, SSSE. Fernando, why do you give all your information away for free? Why do you give all your education away for free? Because I have two separate models. I'll tell you why. It's because I'm selfish. Most people, you have these gurus that sell you courses, and they don't care if you make money or not because they already got your money, right? They already sold those courses. That's not how I work. How I work is I'm literally going to teach you how to be my competitor, because then one day you're going to come across a deal that's too big for your britches. And what are you going to do? I'm going to call Fernando and see maybe he can help me on this deal. Hey, Fernando, you want to partner on this deal? How about this deal here? I don't want to buy it, but maybe you want to buy it. So it literally is deal flow. So I will give you, I'm giving you my personal cell phone number. Anything you want, text, call, email, I will give it to you for free. Just remember me when you have a deal that's too big for your britches. That's all I ask, okay? That's my name. Half Italian, Angelucci, great last name, if I have to say. 630-408-8090. That is my personal cell phone number. I promise you it's not fake. It's not one of my VAs in the Philippines. It's not AI. Text me right now. I'll respond to it right now. Email address, worst way to contact me, honestly. I get around 500 emails a day, so text message is better. And then website, if you want to. There's a fancy video on there where I'm wearing a suit, which is extremely rare. But it has all of our track records. It has, if you want to become an investor, you can go on the investor tab. If you want to be a buyer, you can buy our wholesale deals on there. If you want to be a seller, you can sell us deals or wholesale us deals. So we work with everybody in multiple ways. Of that $230 million I've done in the last 6 years, 30 to 35% of that came from people like you in this room. First-time self-storage investor, didn't know what to do, didn't know how to raise $3 million, but has a good deal in their hands. And they say, Fernando, can you raise me $3 million? And I say, darn Skippy, I can. So give me a call. So now we have a mic here in the middle of the room. Q&A, please. Any question? What's my favorite color? What's my favorite Atlantic Ocean animal?
Oh, I got good ones for you. Don't worry.
Let's go.
Okay, so the first question is, okay, I find a deal.
Yes.
And I really want to take it down, but I'm just not in ability to.
Sure.
I call you up. What will you do for me if I bring you a deal?
Yeah, great question. So here's what I'll do for you. Right off the bat, for free, just because I'm a trust but verify guy, I will send you a non-disclosure, non-compete agreement, non-circumvent agreement. So you're totally safe knowing I'm not going to go around you. Sign that. After I sign that, it gets back to me. Send me an address. If it's a piece of land, if it's an existing self-storage facility, give me as much as you got. Even if you don't have a lot, send it to me. I'll send it to my underwriter. They can usually turn these things around in 48, 72 hours. And then she'll send you the entire underwriting package back, being like, here's everything. And I'll reply in an email saying, here's why I like this deal, or here's why I don't like this deal, or this is a, instead of a green or red light deal, it's a yellow light deal, and here's the mitigating factors, et cetera. Then I will send you, I'll say, hey, I would like to buy this, or I'd like to partner with you on this. Here is an Excel sheet that has all the roles that can be played in a self-storage deal: who raises the capital, who manages the deal, if there's construction, who manages construction, who found the deal, who did the contract negotiations, et cetera. And then you just put your name in the sections that you want to do. So let's say you're a construction guy or gal. You say, Fernando, I can handle commercial construction. I'll take that piece. I'm like, great. Next to that position will be a percentage of equity assigned to those roles. And you don't have to do all of it. You're like, Fernando, I think I'm good at commercial construction, but I want you to let's do 50-50 on the construction. It'll break apart that ownership. So it'll show you all of every piece and what ownership, it's all standardized. So you can choose what you want to do. I'll send it back, and then from there, just you choose. Fernando, I need help raising the money. I say, okay, I have 900 plus investors. I'm raising $10 to $15 million a year from these investors. I'm sure we can fund your deal, especially if it's an existing self-storage deal. Those are way easier to fund than ground-up development. I still want to see your ground-up development deal, though, Lisa. So yeah, super easy. And that's so that's if you want to do the deal. But let's say you're a wholesaler in the group, and you're like, I don't want to do the deal. I just want to quick rip some assignment fee and then go. Totally fine. So I can buy them from you. If I don't want to buy them, I have a buyer's list of 3,000 people that buy our self-storage deals, and I'll split the assignment fee with you. And these assignment fees are not your small assignment fees you get from residential properties, 5, 10, 15, 20K. I'll give you the low end and I'll give you the high end, which doesn't happen often, but can happen. So the lowest self-storage assignment fee I ever did was $50,000 for a facility that was like 10,000 square feet, closed in 3 weeks. The guy that brought it to me, I said, I don't want it too small. He made $25,000 for literally just giving me the seller's cell phone number. That was it, $25,000. That's the low end. My average assignment fee on these deals are usually between $200,000 and $300,000. So how's $150,000 sound for connecting me to a seller, right? Good. Highest one I ever did was in a 2-property package in North Carolina. It was too big of a deal for me. It was too good of a deal, meaning it was already stabilized. It was more REIT quality. So what did I do? I got a REIT on the horn. The assignment fee was $2 million. The guy got $1 million for connecting me to the seller. $1 million at closing. How crazy is that, right? So there's all types of ways to work together. I can help you structure extremely creative style deal structuring. So seller financing, equity for land deals, master lease agreements with purchase options. Just call me. That's all you got to do. Just call me first. You have my number. And I'll say, hey, here's how I'm thinking about how you can make money on this deal. So get on the horn.
I'll be asking questions all day if nobody steps up here. This is pretty normal for me. Hey, so I'm selling some properties off with the intention to get into storage. It's my big goal right now.
Yeah.
Let's say I end up with a big chunk of money and I'm ready to go. Do you recommend getting into something that's already established? Is there a certain size that you recommend for a starter? Is there certain things I should be looking for? Extra land on the side, outside storage versus indoor storage, or do I look for a piece of land and start off by just putting some gravel down and have an area for outside, RVs, cars? And is there any value to putting a lid on top, something that's covered? Because I have an RV, and the one thing that I hate the most is it sits outside, and I can get hail damage too.
Yeah, hail damage.
Yeah, those seals I got to redo every year because of it. Yeah. If I just had a lid over the top, I'd pay $20 more a month just for that.
Right.
And I just want to know what your thoughts are on that.
Well, first of all, we don't want to take away too much business from Phoenix Restoration over here, right? So, but yes, great questions. Number one, if you're going to start, existing cash flow is way easier to finance. Banks love when you got 1.25 debt cover right off the bat, right? So your NOI, your net operating income, is 1.25 times your debt payments per month. Here's what I'd recommend. So existing storage, ideally 30,000 or more square feet, because then it's of a size that you can hire people to do things for you, and you don't have to physically be there. We're all in here to maximize our time, other people's money, other people's time, right? OPM, OPT. So a larger facility allows you to do that. Ideally, like I said, you're buying it from mom and pop. They're already on their second or third retirement. No web presence. They're friends with all of their tenants. So when the tenants, I can't make the payments, that's totally fine. I'll waive the late fee. These are the types of deals right off the bat. They're going to be great for you, right? Don't go into development on your first deal because there's so many moving parts. It's so much more riskier. It's way harder to get debt, especially if you don't have experience or someone on the team that has experience. UMB is going to be like, I'm not going to give you $6 million when you've never done a self-storage deal, right? To build something from the ground up. Maybe they will. Who knows? We'll see. We'll chat. Yeah. And then, if you could get them seller financed, that is key. And it doesn't have to be like 100% seller finance or even 80. You can convince them to go into like a seller second, so that UMB can come in on the first. They put up 60%. The seller puts up another 20%, and then you come in with 20, and the seller piece is extremely low, or 50-50, right? So let's say 40% debt from the seller in the second position at 4% interest only for 7 years. UMB comes in the first. They put up another 40% at, he said as low as, just shy of 7, which is fantastic. You're not going to get that on your first. I don't believe it. You're probably going to be in the 7s, prime plus 25 plus 50. And then deals where you're in, the thing that I see a lot of newbies kind of missing is it's a self-storage facility. I'm ready to do a deal. I'm a deal junkie, but it's in the middle of nowhere. There's no cars, like no population. So ideally things on like major thoroughfares, traffic counts are good. There's a bunch of residential around that facility is going to be your really good first-time deals. Does that answer it? You asked me a few questions. Okay. Oh, and then you asked about covering. Yes. So if you go from just an RV and boat parking area where they're just on gravel and nothing's covered, and just putting up a canopy, which can be as low as 16, 17 bucks a foot to do, you can raise the value. You can almost, in some areas, double the rent that those people are paying. So I always tell people, rentals under roof are always going to be your highest yielding, and then the smaller the units, the higher the rent per square foot is going to be. I'm not saying that you should just do all small units, because there's some people that want larger units, but anytime you go under roof, your rent per that square foot is going to go through the roof, right? Yeah.
I'm Ryan Beck,
Hey,
real
Ryan.
estate agent and property manager. I have a client who's toying with the idea of this. I've just earlier today, I called, I don't know, a handful of storage units, kind of lied to them, telling them I had clients moving into town. I was getting a taste of their vacancy rates. Lowest was like 85%, and then most of them were like 95%. So my intention with that was to get a taste of like how saturated the market is.
Great.
That sounds like it's not saturated if
No.
everywhere's full. So my question to you is, what are some other kind of local indications
Metrics.
and metrics that you'd use in
Yeah. So you're actually
picking a
starting.
location
I'm sorry.
that you'd use to pick a location?
Yes. So you're actually starting with the best one. So what a lot of people use, what we talked about at the bar earlier, is what's something called the supply index ratio or supply index number. And that's going to be your number of people or net amount of net rentable square feet per capita per the population in that trade area. Usually 1 to 3 mile, 1 to 5 mile radius, or if you have the software to do it, 5 to 15 minute drive radius around that facility. The problem is that number is highly skewed and can be different in different areas and mean the same thing. So in one area, it can be 6 square feet per capita versus 12 square feet per capita in, let's say, downtown New York. And you're like, well, 12 sounds like a high number, 6 sounds like a better number, but you don't really know. So the best thing you can do is exactly what you do. I secret shop, or now I have people do it for me, where I'll call self-storage facilities and I'll be like, what's your occupancy? I don't ask it like that because they know I'm secret shopping. I'd be like, I'm a house flipper and I lost my warehouse, or I'm about to get a warehouse. Do you have, and I'll see what type of square footage they have for the entire building. Let's say it's a 60,000 square feet. And then I want to see if they got more than 10% or 15% vacancy. So I'll be like, do you have, 8,000 square feet available? Can I rent multiple units? And if they're like, yeah, you're like, okay, that means there's unmet, or there's supply that hasn't been taken up yet. But if you're all getting 85, 90, 95%, that's a stabilized facility. In our industry, at 85% occupancy, you are stabilized. And the reason why is you never want to be at 100% occupancy like residential properties, because we always want to have a little bit of every size unit, where once you only have 1 or 2 of those units left, instead of it being 150, now it's 300. And I'd be like, are you willing to pay 300? And they're like, yeah, I'm willing to pay. It's like, all right, so now I just jacked up my NOI. So you always want to have a little bit of vacancy. I like to aim for 87 to 92% occupancy is roughly where I consider my facility stabilized. But the industry and the bankers are going to underwrite a 15% vacancy no matter what. So use those numbers. If all of a sudden you start calling facilities and they're like, I got 60, I got plenty. You need 20,000, I'll give you 40. I'll give you a deal. Then it's like maybe not a good place to buy / build in, because there's already too much supply for the demand in that area, right? Great question. You're starting with, you already did the best part, the best one. So tell your client, wherever you're looking, great place to buy.
Thanks.
Thank you for making the journey here.
Sure, yeah.
Fernando, I'm having this challenge where we're only as good as our worst employee. and we need better training. And I know there's a great opportunity for in all businesses where communication is not happening appropriately to where, let's say you get that red lock. I've had an experience with this where if I get barred from my supplies, then I'm like, well, you're sick of keeping me from making my money.
Right.
So I was kind of, I had a moment to recognize within myself that I need to grow. And that's why I'm asking if they just called me and say, hey, your stuff's locked up, you can't come here. And I'm like, pay the bill. And I'm like, cool. That's all I needed to hear.
Right.
And I'm just saying it's like, and that's where I'm just sitting here going like, there's a great opportunity available by just simply giving people a phone call, even if it's an AI.
Right.
But is there another platform that you know of that is able to teach a parameter like check? I know we're working on checklists for our employees, like this happens. And so if it is a VA that's doing this work, is there already something in play that
Yeah. Even better than someone calling. So historically, self-storage has been a laggard when it comes to adoption of technology. That has completely changed recently with a bunch of private equity coming in and investing in self-storage supplier companies. So technology companies, insurance companies, et cetera, to serve self-storage owners of these facilities. So now you have softwares that will automatically text and email them. Depending on how you set it, you can be like, the day of the rent being due, the system shows they haven't paid, sends them a text and email, or even a voicemail and says, hey, you haven't paid. And then again on day 3 of delinquency, and then on day 10, and then depending on what your grace period is, on the day where it's like, hey, we're officially overlocking your unit and you have 4 weeks before we sell it to someone, before your unit is going to be on TV on Storage Wars. All of that is automated. You don't even need to hire an employee to do that anymore, right? So a ton of really good softwares out there that basically run the facility for you. This is what I was talking about with those automated self-storage facilities, those small ones. The technology we have now is insane. It's insane. Yeah.
All right. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
My first question is real simple. What's the closest investment that you've done to Omaha as far as geographically? You haven't
Des Moines.
invested yet in Omaha? Oh, Des Moines. Okay.
Des Moines.
Great.
Yeah, my old stomping grounds.
All right. So you heard that, everybody. You need to Omaha.
That's right.
Location.
I do. Lisa's going to sell me her facility here pretty soon, so we'll see.
All right. Okay. My next is this. I'm curious if you've ever done anything where you've had to demolition of existing property. Specifically, I have a property I want to do this with. I've wanted to for a long time. And it is a concrete building, but sitting on 1.5 acres of land that I think would be prime.
Okay.
So I haven't done any of the math yet, but the big thing is did you find it cost effective?
Yes.
Because that's a lot of cost
Yes.
demolition.
So
what are your thoughts?
Right. So depends on land value. What's your basis? What is the rent in the area? So a bunch of stuff. This, like I said, the development side's a little bit more advanced than just buying existing stuff. We could talk offline. So it's specifically your situation, but here's the kind of the generalizations I'll give you. I'll use a deal I'm doing right now in Atlanta. I found 2 houses next to each other. Each lot was 3 acres that were on demolition court list. I went to the investor or the owner, and I said, hey, I'll offer you 20% above what all these wholesalers are offering you to buy these demo court deals. He said, sure. So I got both pieces of land, houses, for $500,000. Cost me $40,000 to tear everything down. Then I started doing kind of like the site work, making it flat, taking down the trees, all that type of stuff. Then I got an appraisal to go get debt. That land appraised at almost $2 million. So day one, without even putting a facility on the land, I walked into $1.5 million in equity, right? So totally worth it. But again, depends on what's the rent in the area, what can you build on that piece of land? Is it on a major thoroughfare? Is there a bunch of cars passing it every day? So if you want offline, we could chat during the networking session, or if you got to jump, you got my contact info, we can chat later.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Hey, Fernando, Mike McGlynn here, fellow Chicagoan. Not too many deep dish pizzas around here, unfortunately, or Chicago dogs.
Yep.
So my question is, you mentioned earlier you had 24-ish different states that you invest in currently, correct?
24 states so far we've
Okay.
done deals in, huh?
Tell the crowd what states to stay away from.
Listen, I'm a deal guy. So if the numbers make sense, I'll go anywhere. You want me to go to Timbuktu, as long as I'm getting at a solid return, fine. General trend though, West Coast, very difficult because not a very big cash flow market, more appreciation market. So these lunatics are buying deals at 4% cap rate. At 4%, I could put my money in the stock market. We saw the return from the S&P over the last 30 years. It was a 10% return. So why am I going to risk it for the biscuit on a 4% return, just hoping the appreciation goes to the roof? So California doesn't work very well. Washington, Oregon, difficult, but not impossible. Where I found the places that are the best is Midwest. Shout out to the Midwest boys out here. South, Southeast. Now Texas is not really working well because taxes are going through the roof. Florida's tough because the insurance premiums are through the roof as well. All the insurance companies took a huge hit during COVID, had a lot of losses, and then also hurricane season now that is getting even worse and worse and worse. So like these coastal areas, extremely tough. So Midwest, South, Southeast. I'm even doing some stuff in the Northeast now as well. So like Pennsylvania, West Virginia, these types of areas. But most of my investments have been like Illinois, Iowa, Ohio. Haven't done anything in Nebraska. Would love to, Lisa. And then South, so like Texas, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, these areas, Tennessee. These are great areas because they're cash flow markets. So you're coming in and you can easily meet that 1.25 debt cover that UMB is going to want to see. Is it 1.25 at your bank? Yeah, 1.25 debt cover that they're going to want to see at the bank. So, I always look at like, how am I going to make this transaction as easy as possible on me, which means it needs to be as easy as possible on my debt provider and easy as possible on my investors. So those are kind of the areas I want to see. There's those whack jobs in California that somehow they can get debt and investors at the type of returns that they're getting, but that's not me. I'm a risk averse guy. You can't eat equity and appreciation. You can't eat cash flow, right? You get that money every month or every quarter. You can use that for whatever. You can buy groceries, etc. So does that answer your question roughly? Yeah. Okay.
Hey, thanks for coming out, Fernando. I'm
Yeah.
Hal Richmond.
Hey,
Sorry,
Hal.
Lisa, I'm going to give you a little competition. I've got a friend that owns about 7.5 acres downtown Omaha.
Good.
He wants to convert to storage, or at least he's strongly considering. The building is about 14,000 square feet.
Okay.
So there's still a lot of land to build brand new. He's kicking around the idea of converting versus tearing down and building, or maybe a combination. Your
Mhm.
thoughts? And we've built 3 units ourselves, over 400 units per storage, brand new builds.
Okay.
We weren't the owners, but we were the
Yeah.
concrete contractor at the time. So building them is not a problem for us.
Okay.
Your thoughts,
Can I ask some questions about the deal?
please.
Okay. So you said it's roughly 8 acres.
By the way, I did take you for your word. I texted you. Yes.
Okay. I got a few here.
No, I didn't put my name on the text.
8620.
Yes.
That's you. Got it.
Or 8. No, 8's. That's his.
That's his.
Yeah, that's his. No.
6441
Nope. You're getting a lot of texts.
3359.
8616.
86. That was the next one. 8618.
Yes.
Right? Yes. Gotcha. Conversions, very interesting piece that I didn't touch on here. So right after COVID, we did a lot of conversion deals because we were buying existing properties at below the cost to the replacement cost to build the structure, the envelope. So conversions are very interesting depending on the price that you get them at, and then also the deferred maintenance. So how's the roof? How's the facade? How's the MEP? Mechanicals, electrical, plumbing, for those that don't know the acronym.
All good.
All good?
All
Okay.
good.
is it a single story building that's 14,000 square feet?
Most of it is. It's got a little bit of office space up above.
Is there an elevator?
No, unfortunately not.
Okay, so I wouldn't put any units on the second floor unless you're willing to pay $100,000 for an elevator, which doesn't sound like it's worth it. First floor though, do it. You're already walled in. So you're saving already something like $40 a foot on construction because you already have the shell. And you could put units in for, depending on which company you go with, about 18 to $20 a foot for all the doors, hallways, divider systems, everything. And then what you do is, obviously the hardest piece is going to the municipality and be like, are you going to allow storage here?
Yeah, that's
and if you allow storage in the building I already have, can I put storage on the land around the building after I do that? And the cool thing about this is when you go to the bank, you say, hey, let's do this in a phased approach, which means less risk to the bank. So they say, let's do the first 14,000, which when you convert, you're getting about a 75% efficiency, right? So, oh, my math, I already drank a couple beers. So you'll probably get about like 10,000-ish net rentable square feet in that 14,000 because you're losing square footage to hallways, offices, mechanical rooms, that type of stuff. And I don't know what the code is here. At 14,000, do you need to sprinkler the building? Is it already sprinklered?
That I'm not sure about.
Okay, so if they're going to make you sprinkler, then that's the fire suppression's more money. So it depends. Sometimes in these situations, it's better just to knock down that building because it's so small.
Yeah.
When I do conversions, I really like buildings that are in the 60 to 80,000 square foot range because then my net rental is going to be, 45 to 60,000 square feet. And this is another thing I want to talk to you guys about is, you want to always think about the exit strategy. You want to sell up that feeding chain, right? So you're a minnow, then I don't know how to fish. So I don't know, minnow to a bigger fish and then the bigger fish to a shark, right? Yeah. So you always want to be moving up that system, and where you start making those big premiums on that deal is when you start selling to the publicly traded companies because they have access to super cheap capital, and they don't really like buying anything that's less than like 50,000 square feet, roughly. So if you have the option, if it makes financial sense, build out the 10,000 net rentable inside of that building, and then start putting drive-up units on. You said it's downtown, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so depending on what the rents are, you may even be able to do climate control multi-story. But what is more recession resilient are single-story climate control or just straight up drive-up units, depending on what the rents are.
Mats and containers, basically.
Huh?
Shipping containers. We were considering shipping containers.
I wouldn't recommend shipping containers. Very hard to sell those.
Okay.
You can buy portables. So there's a couple companies that do this. Boxwell, Janus has a system. They look like self-storage facility or self-storage containers, but they're actually, they look like self-storage, but they're modular. You can put them down with 5,000-pound forklifts. But it's better just to do permanent structure. So lay the slab, 4-inch slab, and then corrugated light gauge steel construction for everything with rolled seam roofs. And you'll save a lot of money, and those things will rent super fast.
All right. Last question. What would it look like if you were to come in as a partner on this?
What do you want?
Knowledge and education.
What role do you want me to play?
Knowledge and education, basically.
Okay.
Give us a leap forward.
Can you raise the money on the deal without me?
Probably.
Okay. Can you get the debt without me signing on the debt?
Yeah, we've already owned the property with the SBA loan on it.
Operations, who will be operating the facility?
Current owner. He's going to keep a small building in the back for running his company.
Okay. And then you're obviously going to handle the construction?
I'm going to help him with it, yeah.
So you'd really only need me for, you already have the deal, so you don't really only need me for like the underwriting and like the guidance.
Running that type of business.
Yeah, I would take probably 5% ownership for that.
Okay, I'll let him know.
Because there's really, the only work I have to do is just the underwriting, which is a one-time thing because you're doing everything else. So about 5%.
All right, I'll talk to him some more and we'll talk soon. Thanks.
Okay, and you have my email. Just send me an email. I'll send you the equity split sheet so you can forward it to the owner. And then he can plug his own numbers in. Okay.
Working deals on site. I love it.
Hi.
thanks for coming out once again. Atair here. I'm a newbie.
Can you speak
investor.
just a little closer so they can? There you go. Thanks.
You
Sorry.
got to get it up a little. He's a tall guy.
Oh yeah. Then you start making taller stands. But so my question is on the education side. I know because with real estate, there's 1,000 REIAs and 1,000 like calculators where you can plug numbers in and kind of play with it. Is there anything for self-storage?
As far as education goes?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't sell education. If you go on like my social medias and stuff, I post like 4 or 5 times, or Donna posts 4 or 5 times a day. So it's all free. If you really want to do like a crash course educate, and then like I said, you guys email me, I'll send you the 7 presentations I have. It's about, I don't know, 6.5 hours of video with me in a really rad mustache. I can send that to you. That's like a good start. But if you really want to do like a crash course, I got a couple buddies that are like the guru types, right? So Scott Myers, I think he's got a class now that's anywhere between $1,000 to $2,000, and you get a virtual thing that you can like log on and do it at your own speed. And then you also get a ticket to go to like the live 3-day camp. So Scott, if you're seeing this, buy me dinner. Yeah. And then AJ Osborne also has a course. I forgot what it's called. I think it's like Storage Rebellion or something like that. Stacy Rossetti also has a course. I haven't done Scott's the only course that I went to because I spoke at his course. So that's the only one that I did. Very thorough, very good. So if you want to invest that, but before you do that, there's a bunch of free information on the internet. So Bigger Pockets has forums dedicated to self-storage. Again, my social media stuff, we're teaching people all the time. You can email me. I'll send you the stuff. So before you spend money, because here's what I'm worried about. Sorry, Scott. People upsell at these courses. So you pay $2,000 and then you can buy like a $25,000 coaching program or a $60,000 or $100,000. And my concern is that you can just use that $100,000 as a down payment and learn trial by fire, which will be probably better than, who knows, but most likely better just actually doing the deal than spending $100,000 to somebody to teach you how to do it, right? Yeah. But at like the $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 level, I think it makes sense if it's a fully baked course, like my buddy Scott. So yeah, I'd say go check out Scott Myers. I think it's selfstorageinvesting.com, something like that. Just type in Scott Myers self-storage. It'll show up on Google.
Also, Fernando's been on over 200 podcasts, so you can look up his podcast, and he just literally just gives you all of his stuff. Yeah. I think episode 87 or something like that, we interviewed him for like 3 hours, and he just said, "Here's it all." So, yeah. Just Google my first and last name, Fernando Angelucci, and if you just click like the videos link on Google, it will show everything. And then you can actually, if you want an easier way to find them in chronological order, if you go to my website, SSSE.com, and then click on news, I think it's news or blog. It's either blog or news. It's on the top. It'll have every podcast I've ever been since I was 21 years old, like literally everything. So, and then it's based on the most recent ones are up front. So you can just watch them all the way through. You can see where I gained weight, lost weight, had a mustache, had a beard. It's all. Unfortunately, it's all on there. Yeah.
All right, no, thank you. That's it.
That's it. All right, cool. Appreciate it.
I got one more question before we conclude tonight. You mentioned all those opportunities to make extra money. Yeah. So all those add-ons, let's call them. Yeah. Out of all the add-ons that you've seen, what's the most lucrative add-on to look for? Is it the street signs? Is it the propane tank? Is it having a car wash? What's the one big thing? Yeah, so I want to efficiently spend my time. So I like the add-ons that don't cost literally any more involvement of me or employees. So billboards, absolutely fantastic. Billboard marketing, you do nothing. They do all the management, they do all the maintenance, and you just get a paycheck. It's literally passive income. It's awesome. Other than billboards, I would say cell tower is number 2. The cell tower is a little rough because they're really sons of guns, and I'm trying so hard not to swear. I'm so sorry for all the children in here. Their contracts are brutal, and they're like
30-year contracts or 50-year contracts, and they end up screwing you over time. But you don't have to do any work, right? So if you're willing to give them I think it's like a 40-foot by 40-foot piece of land or something, and they put up a cell tower, it's just gravy in your pocket, especially if you have extra land that you don't need. Outside of that, I mean, we talked about this in the car. If you're going to go into development and you think you're going to have trouble zoning, having a car wash attached to the self-storage is great, because self-storage doesn't bring a lot of money to the municipality. You get property tax, and then depending on the state, maybe you get a little bit of state tax, sales tax, but in most places there is no sales tax. But with a car wash, you're buying water, you have a bunch of sales tax because you have customers that are coming in, I don't know how many hundreds of customers a day, right? So they love that. So if you put them together, it makes it easier to get it passed through zoning entitlements. However, I'm not a big car wash guy. I'm an engineer by training. My father's an environmental engineer. They sometimes can cause environmental issues, which makes it much more difficult to sell the car wash. So if you're going to put a car wash, make sure it's not on the same parcel. Parcel it out, have a separate parcel, so that way you can sell. Because self-storage buyers are self-storage buyers. They're not self-storage buyers plus car wash, or self-storage plus an apartment, or self-storage plus an Airbnb. They just want. I pass up deals all the time where it's storage plus X, and I was like, I don't want X. So when I'm going to make you an offer, I'm going to make you an offer assuming the value of that X is 0, which means there's other people out there that will pay more because they'll take the income of the apartment rental. So here's the thing. In storage, the old generations of storage that were built on like first generation stuff, which is like farmland typically, they would build an apartment on the storage facility where the manager would live, right? And to me, that just brings liability, or you can rent it out. But that's not storage. That's habitation-based real estate, which has all those issues I showed on my PowerPoint, which I don't ever want to go back to, right? So if you're going to do that, just make sure they're separate parcels or separate LLCs. And then that way, if you want to sell, the car wash off later, you always got to think of your exit strategy. So if you just want to sell the car wash off or the storage off, you can do those separately to a car wash buyer and a self-storage buyer, as opposed to trying to find that lucky, that one investor that is like, I love both of those, very rare, very rare. Yeah. So like I said, I guess I could put up my contact info again, since I only got 19 texts. How do I make this happen? There you go. Yeah, right there. So text me, email me, go to my website, Google me. I guess it's better to go to the website and use the news or the blog side, because then you have them all chronologically based. And then I'll be around until, I think my flight leaves tomorrow at like noon or something.
A little later, right? I think because we're planning to do lunch. I think your flight leaves at like 2 or 3 right now.
You know better than me.
Yeah. Maybe we can do a big lunch tomorrow. We'll put something out.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
If we can get some people there, that'd be cool.
Awesome. Can we get a big round of applause for Fernando, please?
Appreciate it, guys. Turn this off.
Thanks,
sir.
brother. Appreciate it. There's plenty of tablet for your beers, just so you know. Hey, a couple things. Jenny is doing a giveaway for some whiskey, some Basil, and then also we're going to call out some. I'll come to you. How about that? And then Michael's got some books to give away too, that are thanks to Terry iText. So we'll give those away in this drawing too. You want to bring those books down here? Oh, you slip one in. I wanted to put my name in there too, but then if I won, I would have felt really bad. Okay, thank you. Okay, so no. This is supposed to be like fun music right here for the giveaway. You can let the person pick, or you can make the call. Yeah, let them pick.
All right, I'm not looking, y'all. I promise, I'm not looking. What color is this?
It's blue.
Well, the person gets to pick, so we'll see if I can open this up. Andrew, Malcolm.
There's a couple of Andrews in there. We're getting excited. Is there Andrew Malcolm? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You lost.
Oh, Oh, okay. This is exciting. All right. Now looking. There's no. This one.
Oh,
Ah,
it's a double.
no. Okay. It's the sticky notes. I got in trouble once. Is this one? Yellow. Lisa Zimmerman?
Zimmerman. Okay. You come on up, pick your prize. You could go Basil Hayden, or you could go a book. And if you do the book and you love the book, return it, put your information in, we'll shout you out. Which one are you going to pick? The Basil Hayden Professional Woman or the Power of Transformation? Oh, you're going with the book? Wow, man. I like it. Okay, thank you. The whiskey is still on the table. And the Professional Woman. The pressure.
Okay. Oh,
It's yellow. It's yellow.
yellow. Angela Peter.
Yes. Professional Woman book? Or she's going with the whiskey. We have one more giveaway.
I told you, manifestation. We were, oh, yeah, so good. Okay.
All that smack talk for nothing. You won it.
Blue, Miranda Morris.
Miranda Morris. There she is. First time coming and you win a book. Cool part about that is, like I said, with book giveaways, you read it, you love it, bring it back, put your card in there, and we will shout out you and every other card in there as a thank you for bringing that back. So thank you. Terry, where are you at? iTex, thank you for donating your books. Appreciate you. Couple things. We have a mic on the floor. If you have a property you want to sell, if you have something you want to shout out, this is your chance. It goes like this because I have a shout out. I have personally owned a fiveplex. It is 5 units, all Airbnb midterms. It's been producing somewhere between $9,000 and $10,000 a month the last few months as I've been taking it over. If you know somebody that's looking for something off 24th and Vinton, let me know. And I listed a property. It's 2619 Reese. It's an Airbnb. And when I listed it, I went in and threw it on Airbnb just to see if it rent for a little bit, and it rented for $3,200 for the last 30 days. Just became vacant yesterday. If you're looking for an Airbnb off 26th and Pacific, let me know. That's what it. Anybody else got anything else they want to sell? Somebody want to shout out? Usually that mic has got a line or there's nothing. Okay, I'm moving on. Easy. Again, big thank you to Thrash Basements, Phoenix Restoration for being our sponsors tonight. Thank you so much. At the end of the event, please go down the hallway. There is a bar down there. There's some live music for a little bit. Take advantage of that. The bar tab is going to be taken care of by Phoenix. So get your draws. Enjoy the time. We usually hang out till 9, 10 o'clock, whatever happens down there, and we have a really good time. The best thing you could do for us, if you get on Google, if you could get on Better Business Bureau, any of those, and give us a review, a 5-star review. It means so much, makes us stand out. Because I talked to probably 3 or 4 people tonight that said they found us on Google, and those reviews really help us keep us up. So it means the world to me, and I thank you guys so much. 5 years. Wow, 5 years tonight. It's awesome. And we're looking to grow. We got more stuff coming. I hope you guys appreciate this. Again, I'm going to open book to you guys. Appreciate you guys. You have a blessed night. Thank you so much. Fernando Angelucci kicked butt tonight. Oh, he does, yeah. Check. Okay, I was going to do this after everybody left, so that way you guys didn't judge me. But so Fernando brought up the redheaded stepchild, and I looked up on ChatGPT where redheaded stepchild came from. And it's a funny story, and I thought I'd tell it when everybody's leaving because then nobody would judge me. You ever hear the phrase treated like a redheaded stepchild? Well, let me tell you, I think that came from, imagine this is the 1800s, somewhere in a dusty town. There's a tired farmer with 6 kids, a bad back, and one goal: peace and quiet. Now, 5 of those kids are his. They all have dark hair, love chores, and know how to milk a cow without spilling a drop. But the 6th, the 6th is a step kid. Red hair, wild energy, probably named something like Billy Blaze. The kid doesn't milk cows. He chases him. He doesn't follow the rules. He questions why they exist. And he's the only one in the family who isn't wearing suspenders or a shirt in the winter. So what happens? Every time something goes wrong, the barn door left open, chickens loose, neighbor's goat mysteriously painted blue. Who do you think to blame? Must have been that redheaded stepchild. And just like that, the phrase was born. Now, of course, today we know better. Redheads are amazing, stepchildren are awesome, and Billy Blaze probably grew up and become a multimillionaire tech founder. But sometimes in real estate or life, we all have a deal, a property, or even a business idea that gets treated like that redheaded stepchild. The one we forgot, avoid, or blame things on. But don't count it out, because sometimes the overlooked ones turn out to be the biggest wins. I want to share that afterwards. So I thought it was funny. Thanks, guys.